Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, very warm welcome to another full flight video. We're going to be flying Drukair flight 401 today from here in Kathmandu, Nepal to Paro Airport in Bhutan. Drukair Royal Bhutan Airlines, of course, is the flag carrier of the Kingdom of Bhutan, and Paro Airport, for now at least, is the primary and really the only major airport with jet service into the Kingdom of Bhutan. And most people, of course, know Paro as having one of the most, or two of the most challenging visual approaches anywhere on the planet. And we're going to be trying the very challenging visual approach to runway 15 at Paro this morning. So passenger boarding and baggage loading has completed. Let's hop into the cockpit here, review the flight plan, and get ready for pushback and departure. Okay, welcome aboard the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and pull up our flight plan here. Okay, we're flying our Royal Bhutan 401 Airbus A319 CFM engines from VNKT, that's Kathmandu, off of runway 20 to VQPR, Paro, Bhutan.
Hey guys, all
cost index 35.
Are we cleared to close?
Yes.
Thanks. See you up there.
Okay, back to the flight plan here. Cost index 35, cruising flight level of 270. Total flight plan distance of 261 nautical miles, and we're carrying 135 plus one passengers on board today. Trip fuel 1,803 pounds, or 1,803 kilograms, and very short flight, 40 minutes en route. And we're going to be releasing with 4,554 kilograms of fuel on board, and total endurance 2 hours and 5 minutes. Route of flight today, we're going to be departing via the Igris 1 Alpha departure, runway 20 from Kathmandu, and we're going to be tracking to Kimti, then Bravo 345 to Tumli, Golf 348 to Meki, and actually Golf 348 through Meki, then on to the Bagdodara VOR, and from Bagdodara, Golf 348 to Sipsu, at which point we'll be joining the Sipsu 1 Sipsu 1 RNP arrival into Paro. And we'll review the arrival and the RNAV procedure, the cloud break procedure we're going to be using as we get closer to the top of descent here. We're going to be having primarily a tailwind today for the flight, winds out of the southwest primarily, west-southwest. So should be a pretty nice, quick, short flight down to Paro on Royal Bhutan 401. Okay, let's go ahead and hop back in the cockpit here and get ready for pushback. Check the box.
Okay.
Ground from cockpit.
Go ahead.
Oxygen test.
Roger.
Okay, that's complete. I'm going to wait for my co-pilot to complete checking her McDo there. Are you ready for the takeoff briefing?
Ready.
Okay, this is going to be a standard left seat takeoff with flaps config 1+F and takeoff flex temp 76 degrees. Weave on and rotate at 140, V2 144. Thrust reduction acceleration altitudes at 5,900 feet MSL. And clean speed of 203 knots. And we're going to be departing off of runway 20. The weather at Kathmandu, winds variable at 2 knots. Visibility 5,000 meters in mist. Few clouds at 1,500, temperature 17, dew point 14, and QNH is 1024. We're located at stand 5 today at Kathmandu, and let's go ahead and review our taxi route. Okay, we're located at stand 5 at the apron here, and we're going to be taxiing to runway 20 via taxiway Foxtrot down to Alpha. Then we'll back taxi on 20, flip around at the turnaround, and hold for departure at departure into runway 20. During the departure, for any malfunctions before V1, engine failure, fire, loss of control, aircraft unsafe to fly, I will call stop to reject the takeoff, apply maximum braking, exit off the runway if able, and will advise ATC. For any malfunctions after V1, we're going to continue the takeoff and treat it as an in-flight emergency. I will handle the controls and advise ATC, and you back me up with the ECAM memo action items. Pending that, we're going to be departing via the Igris 1 Alpha departure today off of runway 20, and the procedure is to climb straight ahead to the Kathmandu VOR, then right turn, remaining within 4 DME of Kathmandu. When crossing the Kathmandu radial 084, we're going to turn left and intercept the Kathmandu radial 105 to Igris, and then we're going to continue to climb to the minimum en route altitude. And special considerations today, I should check that 1 second. Minimum climb gradient for this Igris 1 Alpha SID is 6%. And for 6% climb gradient, climbing out at 200 knots, we're going to need a minimum vertical speed of 1,215 feet per minute. Should be no problem for us. Turns are limited to a maximum of 180 knots. And transition altitude is 13,500 feet for the for this particular SID. Okay, special considerations, of course, we do have terrain to both the north and south of the airport, and we're going to be taking off in hazy conditions here at Kathmandu, so obviously it'll be hard to spot terrain, so we're going to have terrain displayed on one of our primary flight displays, or sorry, terrain displayed on our navigation display for additional situational awareness. And that's it for the takeoff briefing. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Before start checklist.
Cockpit prep.
Completed.
Completed. Gear pins and covers.
Removed.
Signs.
On auto.
Adheres.
Nav.
Fuel quantity.
$4,600 kilograms.
Takeoff data.
Set.
Barrel ref.
QNH 1024 set.
1024 set. Down to the line.
Cabin crew, arm slides, and cross-check.
Cabin crew, please arm your doors for departure. Thank you.
Below the line.
Windows and doors.
Closed.
Closed. Beacon.
On.
Thrust levers.
Idle.
Parking brake.
Ladies and gentlemen,
On.
boys and girls.
Before start, checklist complete.
Okay, let's go ahead and request our pushback here.
The rest of the crew today. Working in front, we have Philip. Shortly in the middle is Joe. We're here for your comfort, but primarily your safety. With that in mind, we'd like to take you through the
Gonna push right onto that taxiway there. Okay, there we go. And the start sequence is going to be 2, then 1.
While we take you through the safety procedures on this aircraft. A safety card is in your seat pocket, showing the exit routes, oxygen masks, life jackets, and brace position that you must adopt if you hear.
And one thing I wanted to do very quick is get my minimum en route altitude for Bravo 345 airway. That's 17,000 feet, or flight level 170. So I'm going to put that into our altitude selection there.
Behind you.
And we are
In
all
an
set
emergency,
for...
leave all cabin baggage on board. Your seatbelt is fastened, adjusted,
all set there
and
on
released
the
as
mode
shown.
control panel.
It must be fastened when the seatbelt signs are on,
Or
and we
Airbus's
recommend that you
equivalent
keep
of
it
the mode
fastened
control
at
panel.
all times.
I always get those
If the air
acronyms
supply
mixed up.
fails, masks will drop from above.
But anyway, we're all set there,
Pull a mask
and
towards
we'll
you
be
to
pushing
start the
back
oxygen.
shortly.
Put the mask over your nose and mouth. Hold in place with the strap. Pull on each side to adjust. Put on your own mask before helping others. If you land on water, take the life
Okay.
jacket from under your seat.
Parking brakes
Put it
released.
over your head.
Engine mode selector to ignition start.
Click together.
And we've been clear to start engine, so I'm going to start engine 2 here.
Do not inflate it inside the air.
Starting engine 2.
Check.
Outside, inflate by pulling the toggle. If it fails to inflate or needs to...
Okay, there we go. Available showing on engine 2. That's a good start. Let's go ahead and start engine 1. Starting engine 1.
Check.
Engine 1 starting up. Okay, pushback complete. I'm going to go ahead and set my parking brake. And good start on engine 1. Let's move our engine mode selector back to norm. And I'm going to turn off my APU bleed and turn off my APU master. APU master is what I meant to say.
Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
Tug is disconnected, so I'm going to call for the after start checklist.
Anti-ice.
Off.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Pitch trim.
30% set.
Rudder trim.
0.
After start checklist complete.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
Okay, left is clear, right is clear. Let's go ahead and turn on our taxi light and turn on our runway turn-off lights. And we'll go ahead and get started taxiing out here. Alright, there we go. Just pulling up the taxi chart on my second screen. And off we go. Parking brakes released. Clear left side.
Clear right side. Check.
Brake check.
Pressure 0.
Flight controls check.
Ready. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral.
Rudder.
With you. Full left. Full right. Neutral.
Okay, flight controls check is completed. And we'll continue taxiing here on Foxtrot down to Alpha, and then we'll backtrack on 20 to the turnaround point. And this is the version 1.2 update of FS2 Crew for the FSLabs A320. and A319, and there's the addition of a new co-pilot voice that you can hear, obviously, the female co-pilot voice. It's very, very nicely done. And we're going to hold short here for this landing traffic. Before takeoff checklist.
Flight controls.
Checked.
Checked. Flight instruments.
Checked.
Checked. Briefing.
Confirmed.
Flap setting.
Config 1+F.
Config 1+F. V1, VR, V2, flex temp.
V1 140, VR 140, V2 144, flex temp 76 degrees.
V1 140, VR 140, V2 144, flex temp 76 degrees. ATC.
Set.
ECAM memo.
Takeoff, no blue.
Down to the line.
And that was a company jet, Drukair A320, I believe, that just landed. And actually kind of disappeared. That's AI traffic for you in P3D. Let's go ahead and backtrack here. All right, taxi of lights to takeoff.
Approach path clear of traffic.
Checked. Okay, all lights are on. And my co-pilot should go through her final takeoff flows there.
Packs
Sweet.
are off.
There we go, packs are off. Checked. And you can see the hazy conditions here in Kathmandu. It is relatively early in the morning, and the cold air and the relatively low dew point spread kind of contribute to this haze, of course. But the haze is, I think, primarily a result of the and this is what I heard. Don't quote me on this, but what I heard was a lot of this haze, especially over northern India, leading all the way up here to Nepal, in the foothills, in Kathmandu, in the foothills of the Himalayas. A lot of this haze is primarily a result of smoke from the burning of burning of like wood and leaves and other types of materials for cooking, like cooking fires down in northern India, which is very interesting to learn about. There was actually an interesting news story a few months ago about how airlines like United, which flew non-stop from Newark to New Delhi, actually had to cancel their flights to New Delhi because there was such low visibility caused by the smoke and the haze in the air over New Delhi. Anyway, it's not too bad here in Kathmandu, though. Okay, so let's go ahead and take off here. Ready. Below the line.
Take off runway.
20 confirmed.
Confirmed. Cabin crew.
Advised.
TCAS.
TARA.
Engine mode selector.
Normal.
Packs.
Off.
Before takeoff checklist complete.
Ready.
Affirm.
Takeoff.
Check.
Okay, off we go. Manflex 76 SRS auto thrust blue.
Check. Thrust set.
Checked.
knots.
Checked.
V1, rotate. climb.
Gear up.
Gear up.
Nav.
Check.
And initiating a right turn here on the Igris 1 Alpha departure. Climb.
Check.
Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your seatbelt fastened while the seatbelt sign is on.
Packs are on.
Whenever you are seated. Toilets are located at each
Checked.
Remember that smoking is not permitted at any time. This includes e-cigarettes.
And the maximum speed in turns is going to be 180 knots. I'm going to activate the autopilot for now. And we're continuing our right turn here. Once we cross the Kathmandu radial 084, then we're going to turn left to intercept the 105 radial to Igris. And we'll continue our climb to the minimum en route altitude, which is 17,000, or flight level 170. Quite hazy, as you can see down below. And a little bit of condensation coming off the wings here.
Seatbelts off.
Confirm.
Confirm clear rad nav.
Confirm. And it's a bit of an inefficient climb here, climbing at flaps 1 and 180 knots, but that is required as per the SID. So we're going to continue doing this, since the SID limits us to making these turns at a maximum of 180 knots. So once we reach this waypoint here, that's Delta 084 Delta.
Activate to secondary.
Confirm. Once we reach that waypoint, then we can accelerate to our normal climb speed. So no problem. We'll just keep this going. And we are above that layer of haze here, so now you can have a pretty nice view of the Himalayas behind us. Tallest mountain range anywhere in the planet. Absolutely phenomenal. And we're to our transition altitude. Set standard.
Standard cross-check. Passing flight level 145.
Flaps 0.
Speed check. Flaps 0.
And once we're past green dot, I'm going to call for the after takeoff checklist. Okay, that's green dot speed. After takeoff climb checklist. After takeoff climb checklist.
Landing gear.
Up.
Now.
Checked. Up.
Flaps.
Retracted.
Packs.
On.
Down to the line.
Below the line.
Barrel ref.
Standard set.
Standard set. After takeoff climb checklist complete.
Okay, after takeoff climb checklist is complete. And we're accelerating to our optimum climb speed up to flight level 270. And I'm going to roll my altitude selector here up to flight level 270, which is our cruising flight level. There we go. And it's 2300 hours right now. We should be at Paro at 0400 hours with estimated 2.5 tons of fuel on board. Distance to go to top of climb is 45 nautical miles, and we should be reaching top of climb in about 6 minutes or so. Very cool. We'll just keep this going. Now, it's very inspired, by the way, to do this flight and record this video after watching one of the JustPlanes series of videos, and this particular one was shot in was shot with a number of different Royal Bhutan Airlines Drukair crews, flying routes from Paro to Kathmandu, and then the return leg Kathmandu to Paro, and as well, I believe there was also a route to Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport as well. Very nice videos. One of the first JustPlanes videos that I actually decided to buy. And you don't have to buy the DVD anymore. You can actually buy it online. You kind of watch it in the cloud. You have to download a player that you know. I've got this on my Mac, like a little this player called Flux Player. But once you install it, you can then watch any videos that you buy from JustPlanes. So I bought a couple of videos from JustPlanes, and I was really interested in this particular one from Drukair. It's very eye-opening and educational. You kind of learn a little bit more about kind of the real-world procedures that are used by the very few pilots in the world that are actually certified to fly in and out of Paro. Incredibly challenging airport to fly into, as we're going to see once we come in on the visual approach or the cloud break procedure, and then the visual approach to runway 15. But it's also a lot of fun, and we'll see how I do here. Magnificent view of the Himalayas here. Now, I do have Aerosoft's Lukla Mount Everest Extreme for Prepar3D version 4 installed, and you can actually already see a little bit of the photoreal textures and photoreal scenery that comes with that package. And I have sort of done a I don't call it a review because my channel is too small, and I don't think I have enough credentials personally to do a full-fledged review, but I call these checkout flights, where I either check out newly released aircraft add-ons for P3D or newly released scenery packages. And I did one of these checkout flight videos to Lukla Mount Everest Extreme, and you can find that on my YouTube channel. But it's a really beautifully done scenery package from Aerosoft. I think it's one of their finest pieces of work to date. Really enjoy flying into all the little mountain airports like Lukla, Phaplu, Sinodoche, and other airports that they've modeled in a lot of exquisite detail. But that's kind of the photorail scenery that you're kind of seeing in the back there. That's Lukla Mount Everest Extreme. Very, very well done. Coming up on our top of climb here in about 12 miles and just under a minute. Pretty nice tailwind there of about 40 or so knots as we cross Kimti here. And Kimti, of course, is the exit for the Igros 1 Alpha SID. And it's a really nice clear morning here in Nepal. Beautiful scenery.
1,000 to go.
Checked. 1,000 to go.
Cruising flight level 270, check.
Checked. Checked. Okay, here we are. We're cruising at flight level 270. 114 nautical miles to go to our top of descent in about 14 minutes or so. And let's go ahead and pick up the weather here at Paro. Request that. Going to print that out. Variable of 2 knots. Visibility more or less unlimited. Clear skies. Temperature 16, dew point 05, and QNH 1028. Beautiful, beautiful morning to fly into Paro. Beautiful VFR conditions. Should be really, really nice. And essentially that means I have no one to blame but myself if I screw up this approach. Again, I really do love this Lukla Mount Everest Extreme photoreal scenery from Aerosoft and LimeSim. LimeSim was a developer, Aerosoft the publisher. But it's just absolutely fantastic. Now it gives you a little bit more to see and appreciate on these P3D flights from Kathmandu to Paro. Covers a very, very good portion of the route from between those two airports. And back there, of course, is the largest mountain in the world. That's Everest. Correction, the tallest mountain in the world. I believe the largest by volume is Mauna Loa on the Big Island of Hawaii. But Everest is certainly the tallest in terms of elevation in mean sea level, above mean sea level. Very, very cool. And we're coming up on the Tumli intersection here, and we'll be making a slight right turn to continue on the Golf 345 airway towards the Bagdodara VOR, which is located in Sikkim, I believe, a state in India. And then after crossing Bagdodara, we'll be making a left turn to the northeast towards Paro and the Supsu intersection. Very, very cool. And it truly is astounding just how much photoreal scenery coverage LimeSim and Aerosoft have modeled here. As you can see, it extends quite a bit away from Lukla, which is the central airport of the scenery package. It extends almost all the way to the border between Nepal and India at Sikkim. You can see the photoreal coverage stops right about here, a little bit further ahead. But it's very, very impressive just how much photoreal scenery coverage they've included here. And by the way, just to be clear, disclaimer here, I am not a spokesperson for Aerosoft or LimeSim. I just happen to be a fan of some of their sceneries. And honestly, I'm not even that big of a fan of Aerosoft sceneries. I think LimeSim, however, have had a track record of making absolutely fantastic sceneries in some very interesting parts of the world, specifically Antarctica with Antarctica X. That was a Lime Sim development. And Lukla Mount Everest X as well, that's also a Lime Sim product. So I think Lime Sim does an absolutely top-notch job. Airsoft, in general, I think can be hit or miss with some of their photoreal sceneries. But Lime Sim, small developer, not many projects their name, but the ones they do have, I think, have a very, very solid reputation. Okay, let's go ahead and hop back in the cockpit here. We're coming up in our top of descent. Let me go ahead and put in our destination data. Okay, QNH is going to be 1028. Temperature of 16 degrees Celsius. Winds are variable at 2 knots, so essentially calm. Oops. 0/0. And let's see, what is the transition altitude? Transition level is set by ATC. Let's assume it's 210. And it's a cloud break procedure followed by a visual approach, so no MDA or DH today. And let me go ahead and set that up here in FS2 Crew as well. 210. Oops. 21000. And approach type is going to be a visual approach, no minima. Final approach fix altitude. I'm going to put that at, let's say 9,500 feet, MSL. Okay. Let's see, anything else here? Reversers, max. Landing flaps config full. And we're going to be using an auto brake setting of medium, so that's all set. You have control.
I have control.
I'm going to roll my altitude selector here down to 17,000 initially. And let's go ahead and do our approach brief. Are you ready for the approach brief?
Ready.
Okay, the weather at Paro Airport, winds variable at 2 knots. Visibility unlimited, clear skies, temperature 16, dew point 05, and QNH 1028. We're going to be arriving via the Supsu 1 RMP arrival this morning. Let's go ahead and pull up that chart. Okay, Supsu 1 RMP arrival. From Supsu, we're going to track on heading 061 to the Papa Romeo 888 intersection, which will be crossed at a maximum 185 knots and about 17,000 feet. And at that point, we'll be transitioning into the RMP or RNAV RMP Yankee approach to either 15 or 33. This is a cloud break procedure, which means that we have to be below the clouds with visibility of either, with either side of some visual landmarks or the arrival runway. But usually, in this case for Paro, we need to be we need to have some kind of visual landmarks in the approach in sight before we can continue visually. Okay, but here's the approach. Initial approach fix: PR 888, 17,000 feet, maximum 185 knots. Then we'll continue PR 744. PR 742, 740, 738, 736, slight left arc towards 734, initial fix, 732, and then on to PR 712, which will be crossed at a mandatory altitude of flight level, 11,800 feet, and that's our final approach point, and a maximum 145 knots. This is the point at which we'll be having the aircraft fully configured for landing, flaps full, landing gear down, etc. Then PR 710, PR 708, at which point we should have some visual landmarks in sight to be able to continue the approach. And we can land either runway 15 or 33. Required navigation performance 0.3. Decision altitude 10,740 feet. And we can essentially continue our descent down to 10,740 feet once we're past PR 712. And if we need to go a mist, I'm going to call for go around flaps, and then we're going to continue on the mist approach track, climbing to 16,000 feet to PR 777, and then we'll hold at PR 777, or start a new approach via PR 777 or as directed by ATC. And let's review the missed approach path here. PR 777, PR 746, 714, 712, 792, 790, all the way around 704, 706, 708. Actually, correction, it's the that's in reverse. It's actually 708, 706, 04, 90, 92, 12, 14, 46, then to PR 777, and that's the hold point, or the return to approach point. And the visual approach procedure here, by the way, once we're past 708, we're going to continue towards the runway, fly over the runway, and then we're going to continue straight ahead towards some rising terrain up ahead, make a left turn into the valley to the left, do a U-turn 180, and then descend to 9,500 feet, and then we'll descend visually to approach runway 15. And that's the approach. I'm going to initiate my descent here. And let's pull up the taxi chart here real quick. Okay, once we land on 15, we're going to continue all the way to the end of the runway. And the scenery that we have does not have Taxiway Sierra modeled yet, so we're going to turn around on the runway and then backtrack on runway 15 and exit on either Alpha or Bravo and taxi into the terminal. And that's the approach brief. Any questions?
None.
I have control.
You have control.
And V approach 129, and we're going to use VREF of 134. Now, I think just a handful, less than a dozen pilots are currently certified to land at Paro Airport. And if you're a visitor to this part of the world, Bhutan, and to Paro Airport, flying your own aircraft, you're not actually allowed to land on your own. You have to have one of these certified pilots fly along with you in the co-pilot seat to guide you in. So that's kind of an interesting requirement of flying private aircraft into Paro Airport. Okay, we're coming up on Supsu, where we'll be joining the Supsu 1 R&P arrival. Then on to PR 888, like I said, and then we'll be on the R&P or the RNAV Yankee approach cloud break procedure. Okay, we're through our transition here. 1028. QNH 1028 set.
1026 set, passing 20,000.
Checked. Approach checklist.
Briefing.
Confirmed.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Seatbelts.
On.
Barrel rest.
1028 set.
1026 set. Minimum.
0 feet set.
0 feet set. Engine mode selector.
Normal.
Approach checklist complete.
Okay. And I'm going to roll our altitude selector here down to 11,000 and continue our descent. Manage descent mode there. Okay, and coming up on PR 888, I'm going to activate approach phase here, so we can start slowing to 185 knots, or slow below 180 knots. And here's where we are on the RNAV Yankee cloud break procedure chart. We're currently crossing over PR 744 on a 742, and we're going to continue the sort of like curving track on this RMP approach to PR 708, at which point we'll continue visually. And I think for now I'm going to descend to 11,000 feet, and that way I should have sufficient clearance to make that turn into that valley that's just north west of the airport. And then we'll make that U-turn, continue descending, and then come back into land on 1.5. So that's the plan. Slow to 180 knots here. Flaps 1. Flaps 1.
Speed check. Flaps 1.
Flaps 2.
Speed check. Flaps 2.
And at PR 712, we want to be at a maximum of 140 knots. By the way, I suspect that this particular cloud brake procedure, or I'm guessing this particular cloud brake procedure, the RNAV Yankee cloud brake procedure, is typically used for runway 33, which is the reason you slow to your final approach speed essentially when you cross PR 712. But we're just going to use it for 1.5 today. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and slow to 140. Flaps 3.
Speed check. Flaps 3.
Flaps full.
Speed check. Flaps full. Cabin crew, be seated for landing.
And I'm going to hold off on lowering the gear until I pass over the airport here. Well, actually, we can go up to 145 for now. So that's what we'll do. So we're going to cross PR 712, which is the final approach point, at 11,800 feet, and then continue descending to the decision altitude. Or actually, correction, I'm not going to continue descending to decision altitude. I'm going to descend to 11,000, which is about 300 feet above our decision altitude. Crazy challenging terrain here. Okay, making that arcing turn to PR 710 and then down to PR 708. Okay, leveling off here at 11,000. And once I cross PR 708, I'm going to take it off of autopilot, disable the flight directors, and continue visually and manually. And you can just make out the south end of Paro Airport in the field down there. So we're going to fly almost directly over the airport, and there's a mountain and a ridge that rises just north of the airport. We're going to be flying almost directly towards that ridge, and then make a left turn into the valley that's just north west of the airport. So you see that rising terrain that's directly ahead, just to the northwest of the airport there? That's what we're going to be heading straight towards. I'm going to take it off autopilot here. Disable the flight director. There we go.
Radio altimeter alive. Gear down.
And we'll continue at 11,000 here. And we'll go into managed speed mode, slow to our final approach speed. Gear down. Oh, gear is already down, never mind. So we're flying straight ahead towards this rising terrain here. And we're going to be making a left turn into this valley as soon as we're past this ridge here. Okay, let's go ahead and make that left turn. And we're going to fly straight ahead towards that rise up ahead. See kind of this U-shaped valley up ahead. We're just going to fly straight towards it and eventually make a U-turn, a descending U-turn, 180 degrees to fly down the right side of this valley, slightly either above or to the left of that river. Back down towards Paro. Okay, let's go ahead and start that descending right turn here. And we want to descend at about 2,000 feet per minute or so, down to about 9,500 feet. And we're going to continue our descent. Landing checklist.
Cabin crew.
Advised.
Auto thrust.
Speed.
Auto brake.
Medium.
ECAM memo.
Landing no blue.
Landing checklist complete.
Should have cleared that actually. There we go, landing no blue. That is confirmed. We're going to keep this right turn going here. And just kind of follow along on this river. One thing I should have done was disable the terrain alerts that we're going to be getting. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off the auto throttle there. So this approach is going to be flown completely manually.
Great.
Checked. So we're going to fly straight ahead, just to the left of this river down below, towards that monastery. And as that airport comes into view there, and the runway comes into view, I'm going to chart a right turn and begin my S-turn. I want to pass over a certain house here, or pass just to the left of a certain house here at about 7,700 feet or so. So you see that yellow house there with the slope roof? That's called Mr. Smith's house, I believe. famous visual landmark that's used on approach here. And we want to cross at about 7,700 feet or so. Slightly high. And then we'll start our left turn back towards final.
Sync rate. Sync rate. Sync rate. Sync rate.
50, 40, 30, 20. Retard. Retard. 5.
Spoilers. Reverse green. Decel. 70 knots.
Okay, and we'll continue all the way down to the end of the runway here and turn around. Yeah, I just checked out that landing rate on Project Fly. Yeah, 114 doesn't sound right. That landing sounded a bit firmer than that. We'll check it out in the replay once we get turned around here. Alright, before we backtrack down 1.5, I'm going to do a quick replay of that. And we'll take a look at what that landing really looked like. Pretty interested. And we're about 11,000 feet here, as I mentioned. You can make this turn at either 11,000 feet or 11,500 and just kind of track right along the left side, or right along this ridge here, to the left side of this valley, up towards that rising terrain up ahead. And then eventually we're going to make a right U-turn here, like we just started, descending at about 2,000 feet a minute or so. So that we end up on the other side of this valley, more or less either directly over or slightly to the left of that river like I mentioned. And you want to be at about 9,500 feet or so, but it's really kind of eyeballed and ballparked. But you want to be at about 9,500 feet or so as you roll out of this U-turn here. And at that point, you want to be flying almost directly towards that very large, beautiful monastery that you see up ahead at the end of the valley, that the river more or less snakes directly towards. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, we're continuing our descent here. not quite as high as a vertical speed as before, but as soon as we spot the runway coming into view behind that rise, we're going to start our S-turn here. First a right turn to pass just to the right, or sorry, to the left of this yellow house here with the slope roof. It's called Mr. Smith's house, and we want to be passing a beam of that house at about 7,700 feet. That's the house right there, yellow house, slope roof. And then we're continuing our left turn, or continuing that S-turn to line up with the runway. And let's see what this looked like. Not bad, all things considered. I started my flare a little early, but otherwise, not bad at all. That worked out far better than I expected. Very, very cool. Let's take another look at that in the tower view here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and taxi on in here. My co-pilot's going to go through her after landing flow. Now, one thing I probably should have done earlier, by the way, since we're at quite a high altitude airport, 7,300 feet elevation, I probably should have turned on the high altitude landing button there, but no big deal. I've done that in the past when I've landed at Lhasa in Tibet, which I think is at an elevation of 12,000 feet or even 13,000. Might be 11,000. I have to look at it again, but it's definitely about 10,000 feet, and I definitely had to use that high altitude landing button landing at that airport. But perhaps I should have used it at this airport as well. Anyway, no big deal. We're going to taxi down here to either taxiway Alpha or Bravo and exit. Just pulling up the taxi chart here on my second screen. And I do have AI traffic enabled, which is why you see a trio of Bhutanese carrier trails there, or Bhutanese carrier tails there. All Airbus A320s, 2 Drukair Royal Bhutan Airlines aircraft, and 1 Bhutan Airlines aircraft. Bhutan Airlines, I think, is the one private carrier that flies in and out of Paro. And let's see, is there a parking spot to the right of that one? Yes, there is, gate 5, so we'll use that, or stand 5. There we go. So I'll actually take Bravo here, after landing checklist. After landing checklist.
Flaps.
Up. Retracted.
Spoilers.
Disarmed.
APU.
Gonna turn on my brake fan here. Start.
Radar.
Off.
Predictive wind shear system.
Off.
Approach landing checklist complete.
Taxi light off. Okay, there we go. Straight ahead to parking. And you know what, I think we can afford to pull forward a bit. So I'm going to keep going. GSX isn't always very accurate with the marshaller signals and stop points, but I'm going to pull forward until my nose is almost... Actually, that should do it right there. And I'll go ahead and apply my parking brake. And APU master's on. APU is on the buses. Let's go ahead and turn off engine 1 and engine 2 masters. And cabin crew, disarm slides, and cross-check. Beacon off, seatbelts off.
Captain Chui, thank you very much for your hard work today. Your doors are clear to open.
See the air stairs pulling up there. Parking checklist.
APU bleed.
On.
Engines.
Off.
Seatbelts.
Off.
Exterior lights.
Nav logo on.
Fuel pumps.
Off.
Parking brake and chocks.
On and in.
Parking checklist complete.
Parking checklist complete. And the exterior doors should open here momentarily. And our passengers should begin deboarding. Fingers crossed for this to happen. There it goes. Doors are coming open. And this is a really beautiful airport and a beautiful location. I just love how that monastery on that hill there just kind of towers over the surrounding terrain. Just absolutely beautiful. Bhutan is definitely on my bucket list of countries that I want to travel to. I was reading that they only allow a limited number of visitors in every year, and honestly that's a very good thing. I think I personally am very, very glad that the Kingdom of Bhutan decided to kind of limit the number of tourists, even though it kind of limits their tourism revenue. It's a good way of kind of preserving their way of life and the beauty of their landscape without, you know, it being too affected negatively by tourism, let's say. So they do a good job kind of managing the tourism numbers. But anyway, it's definitely a country on my bucket list that I hope to travel to someday. And this is an absolutely beautiful scenery package for Paro Airport. I'm going to list the makers of both the Kathmandu and Paro Airport sceneries in the YouTube description below. And as always, folks, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. The approach went absolutely beautifully, a lot better than I expected it to go, especially when I'm recording a video. Always expect to screw up just a little bit when I'm recording these videos, but it worked out quite nicely. Not so many errors, and the approach and landing worked out quite nicely. Okay, so once again, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. As always, if you like this content, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll plan to keep making these types of videos in the future. You all take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.